Good morning, good morning. I know it seems like it's been ages, but we are back again. Let me just put my tweet out real quick. And say that, yes, I am still alive and kicking. Apologies for yesterday. My weekend did not go very well, clearly. As some of you may know, I've been experiencing some medical issues of late. It seems like it's been forever. It's been one tummy flu kind of bug after another and other complications, and lately it's been a case of ear infections. And apparently the one that I have has decided to upgrade to a deeper or deep ear infection. So Friday I started experiencing, before it was just like some regular, just a little bit of discomfort in the ear and around. But Friday it started like somebody jabbing a knitting needle in my ear. It was that harsh. So over the weekend I pretty much suffered pretty regularly from it. So Monday we decided that I needed to go back into the doc. So I am on a new regimen of antibiotics, a little stronger this time, and some extra pill goodies. So hopefully this grouping of medications will sort me out and I will be back to usual. But things seem to be calming down considerably, so that's a plus. It's just if I kind of get a little quiet or looking a little uncomfortable, it might be because the pain doesn't actually come regularly. It's kind of like intermittent fits of discomfort. So I just had one a little bit before we started the stream, and I'm hoping I'm good for another hour at least. So fingers crossed I don't have another episode during the stream time. But if I do, apologies. It's not very fun. It's not completely debilitating, but it's distracting. So that's why I haven't been playing much. A lot of people have been noting that I haven't been in game. So that's why I just kind of step in, check my dailies, and I'm out because it's really hard to concentrate when you're in agony. But good morning, Poi and Bones, and anyone else that happens to be lurking or joining us shortly. And thank you for the hosting. I appreciate it. So yesterday I had actually planned to get it all together and do the official announcement for January CBDC, but that didn't go as planned. So we're going to do that today. I know the thread has already been up and I tweeted it out yesterday, but we're going to go over it a little bit today. So let me just pull that up so that I kind of don't contradict myself. Basically, again, I try to keep these kind of not necessarily vague, but I try to keep it so that it's open to a lot of interpretation from the builders. I could specify that everybody has to build a motorcycle, and then that's all we have is just like lots and lots of motorcycles, which is fine. You'll get a lot of variety from that even, but I prefer to do something more like just vehicles or maybe land-based vehicles, that kind of thing. I narrow it, but I keep it broad enough where people can just do just about anything that they like. Good morning, Faye. Glad you could join. So in that light, and still trying to stick with kind of the holiday time of year that it is, I wanted to pick something that I figured would be very open to interpretation, but also kind of focus, sort of. It sounds like a contradiction in terms, but so we decided to go, or I decided to go with New Year's resolutions. And what that means is, I'll just read what I wrote in here. Basically, for those of you that have never heard of New Year's resolutions, I'm sure there's maybe some people that haven't. I can't just necessarily assume everyone has done it or knows what it actually is about, but it's basically a tradition of people making kind of a promise or resolution that they would like to do something to improve themselves or maybe their situation for the new year. Uh, they kind of have a bad reputation of not being fulfilled, that people will, all right, Bones, I hope it gets fixed easily, not too much trouble. Breaking up some floor, that's some nasty stuff then. Anyway, shoot, lost my train of thought. um, Basically, it's something, like I know it's like a lot of people will make, like, say they want to quit smoking, for example, and that's their New Year's resolution, that they're going to quit smoking starting at the first of the year. And maybe they get into it, a few weeks, and then it gets harder and harder, and then they just end up breaking that promise or that resolution for themselves. Um, Even though that's the case, that probably a high percentage of resolutions are eventually broken or kind of cheated on or whatever, or maybe don't come in as famously as you would hope. Like, maybe someone wants a new job, but they're thinking of like the dream job, and they only get like something, not so dreamy. Um, but uh, even even keeping that in mind, a lot of people continue to make resolutions every year. It's kind of just I don't know. Sometimes it's like it's a tradition, but I mean, it's like something that they feel like maybe this time they'll succeed. I think it's more of a hopeful thing, that they would like to, there are things that they would like to change or improve about themselves or their situation, and these resolutions kind of give them some goals. One thing that I know, for those of you that actually have done or are planning to do, keep them realistic, achievable goals. That's probably the best way to ensure that you will likely stick with whatever it is you resolve to change or to improve or whatever. Um, in that light, I wanted to keep it so that it's not like you have to make these resolutions that you're going to be building personal. If you really don't want to share, like if there's something, you know, that you want to keep private, you don't have to share that it's uh, one that you're actually trying to hold, because we're not going to judge you if you don't keep to it. Um, uh, so I kind of tried to make it clear you can either do one that you've actually resolved for this year, to try and change, or you can just grab one that is a common one. Like, for example, I picked saving money. A lot of people, that's a resolution for them. Maybe they have a goal at the end of the year, maybe to have a really big frivolous holiday at the end of the year, and to do that they need to be able to save some extra money. And a lot of people make the New Year's resolution to save more money rather than spending it throughout the year. So I made the piggy bank. So you can keep it as general as you want. It doesn't have to necessarily be your actual New Year's resolution. It can just be one that lots of other people do. That again frees you up. Sometimes resolutions are a little trickier to kind of iterate in a build type of scenario. Like if you're wanting to become, I don't know, more like opening doors for people as a simple gesture of, kindness to others. You could probably build a door and have some, an NPC, but it's kind of hard to represent that they're actually trying to open it for someone else. Does that make sense? So, it may be tough to try to illustrate some of these resolutions. So it might be easier for those that can think of ideas for certain ones. Maybe they're not necessarily a resolution that they would actually apply to themselves, but it's something they can figure out something to build for. So again, I'm leaving it open. It's not required that it's a resolution that you're actually putting on yourself. It's maybe just one that's a common one that a lot of people issue each year. Um, so I did, in the thread, I listed out a few examples of some resolutions like take a trip, get a new job, improve your health, that kind of thing. And then I also went even a little further and gave some examples of how one might build something to represent those. Because again, this is very open to interpretation. I could have built a bank and had somebody, at the teller stand depositing a large sum of cash. If I wanted to get that elaborate, I chose to keep mine very simple, small. So just a little tiny project. I think it's like, I don't know, 20-something pieces for this little piglet. So it's you can be as simple or as elaborate as you want. Again, I'm trying to keep it very flexible because I know a lot of our builders already have designated themes for most of their plots, and it's not exactly convenient to be asked or obligated to build a large project for any of these challenges. It's welcome if that's the way you want to go, but that's not, my specific aim. I'm just trying to get you guys to think about different things you might not have tried to do, and see if you can use it. Now, for my example, you can see I kind of played around with the color shifting feature. I used both some pink elements and I recolored the plates to a bit of a gold. It's like a yellow. One thing I will say is I had to remove this for a time and then I put it back. And when I did, only half of the pieces came in as the colored versions. And Katya's ended up placing down regular ones in place of some of the other pieces. And I found the colored pieces in the crate, so I don't know if there's like some ID, like item ID issues going on or what, but just be aware that if you make a set that has some coloring in it, and then you go to move that set, maybe you took it off your plot and then you go to place it back, the set manager might not actually grab the colored pieces. It might just buy some new ones, uncolored, if that makes sense. So anyway, again, it's one of those things that I probably won't use a lot, but for here it seemed appropriate. It's just a few pieces, so let's see, what else do I need to say? Of course, the submission for these projects is the same as every time. You can reach out to me via Twitter, Twitch, 4 p.m. in-game mail. I check it all just to be sure. I even check it right up until the night before we do the showcase, just in case somebody slips in a really last-minute project. The only thing you need to provide is which region you're on, so I know what region to head to, the character name of the plot that the project is built on. Obviously, I need that to be able to find it. What the resolution is, and what the project is and how it relates to the resolution. Because while some of these might be obvious, there may be some that are kind of a little bit more a little bit more open to interpretation, I guess. And so it would make it my job easier to be able to describe or provide a label to it to say, okay, this represents this, and it's better if you provide me with that information. Um, then where it is, if it's in the bunker house, if it's behind, around the corner, behind the hill, next to the tree, or whatever, just give me a general path so that I don't have to hunt the entire plot for it. And then optional, you can provide any other extra information you want. If you want to tell me how many pieces you used, what inspired it, if it's an actual, resolution that you're applying to yourself, you're welcome to say why you chose, to voice this particular resolution, or maybe it's something a friend is trying to do. Maybe your friend's trying to quit smoking, so you're building something to represent that. Um, Whatever extra information you want to give, that's more than welcome, and it will be shared during the showcase. I try and note down all of that extra stuff. So uh, so that it'll be included, because that's kind of like trivia stuff. A lot of people like that kind of thing. And you're welcome to submit more than one project if you want. Just be sure and give me the pertinent information for each so that I don't get them mixed up, or that I can keep it all straight and everything. And again, I added a little special note saying that, you know, no one's going to be held accountable if they say this is my resolution for this year, and then later it comes out that you didn't fulfill it. We're not going to, you know, berate you for it. Same way, if you just pick one out of the blue and it has nothing to do with you personally, that's fine as well. As long as it, you know, gets you into the challenge, that's what we're here for. So, well, see, that's the thing, Poi. When I placed the little piggy, this particular plot that I'm working on is a different alt. She didn't have anything in her crate other than the colored versions. But when I went to place it again, it bought new ones uh, for half of the items. I think the only thing that came out that it actually used what was already in the crate, the colored versions, was the body and the nose. But the plates, his tail, his ears, and his feet, it bought new ones of those. So it wasn't that I had spares in the crate that were uncolored along with the colored versions. I just had the colored versions in there because the crate's pretty much empty, or was, until I started playing around with some other things. But at the time, there was nothing else there. So I don't know if that's just, again, just make up one, Bones. Like I said, use a common one. Some of the ones is like quit smoking, improve health, or if you want to get specific, a lot of them say lose weight, um, maybe drink more water, or take a trip, get a new job. Uh, Maybe they want to learn a new language, um, or learn a new talent, like maybe to take up painting, or an instrument, or some kind of a sport that they haven't played before. There's all sorts of things that people will do and set as a resolution. You could probably Google up New Year's resolutions, just images, and you'll see a bunch of like examples of things that people say. If you can, if you know, just look through them. If one, you know, hits you as, you know, I could build that, then you know, go for it. Um, like I said, like if you want to do one that, like you want to volunteer more, or you know, people that want to volunteer more, there's a lot of things that you could do, like a soup kitchen, a Meals on Wheels truck. Um, uh, you could do like have a little park scene, have a bunch of trash, and have those people, you know, those little poles that kind of you stab the trash with, and then they've got the little bag, and you stick the trash in the bag. You could do something like that, you know, a little highway crew or something. I don't know. Um, uh, Maybe you want to take up gardening, make yourself a nice, pretty garden or something. Again, you know, more or less, we're looking for a custom built thing. So whatever you're going to do is going to be a little above and beyond just your traditional placing down your items and stuff. But again, you can be as elaborate or as simple as you want. I mean, this really is probably as simple as you can go, just making a piggy bank. So, you know, there's other ways you could represent the save money, but this is the way I chose. It's the most simplified version I could think of. But now, if it doesn't really pique your interest, then of course you won't be submitting something for this month, which is sad, but I understand. I know not every challenge is going to inspire every builder. Again, that's one of the reasons why I like changing the themes every month, because, you know, if I did the same kind of stuff every time, it would get boring for one, but also it might not ever inspire that one builder in the corner that's been sitting there waiting for a particular theme to pop up, that kind of thing. So, you know, if you want to challenge yourself to try and participate in every CBDC regardless, then, you know, you're going to have to dig deep for this one if you don't do resolutions yourself. I personally don't. but because I know I'd probably fail at all of them anyway, and I don't want to disappoint myself. But I know a lot of people do, and I figured this would be a fun way of kind of ringing in the new year kind of deal. So just to cover what I used for the little piggly, it's basically orandomes for both the body and the nose, and then cylinders for his legs. Uh, they're just kind of slightly slanted. You can see it a little better here. They're slightly slanted. I wanted to make sure there was some space between them. Um, and of course, I dyed it all pink. It's like the very last selection choice. His nostrils and his eyes are vent tanks. And then the little highlights in his eyes are the opposite end of the vent tank. So on one part I'm using the back end, and then for the highlights I'm using the very tip top of it. The main trouble with that was just finding a size that didn't poke through his rear, that kind of thing. For the ears, since we had seen that nice ice wolf from last month's deal using the ice cap mushrooms for ears, I thought, well, I'll go ahead and use that for my piggly. So it's the same thing. They're typically bluish white, and I just dyed them pink. Now you can tell when it comes to this color shifting, you're going to have to play around with items that might take the color better than others. You can see it's a very faint pale pink compared to the body. But that doesn't bother me too much. Granted, if there's someone that really wishes the ears were a little bit more in tune with the body color, you would probably have to search out some other item that works better. I just like the shape of these. It looks like a little bit of a floppy ear. So I went ahead and stuck with it. But again, it's just up to you personally whether you're going for a true, trying to find something that matches as well with the color as opposed to a little bit of a clash. I mean, it's still pink, but it's not like super, super strong. The tail is actually a Draken fence. It's one of the ones with the horns, and I'm just using the very tip of it. Again, it was tricky finding a piece, finding the size that worked where it's still good and visible, but it's not poking out anywhere that it shouldn't be. I looked for something that was a little bit more curly Q, but I really couldn't find anything that I felt worked well enough. So I figured just a little curly, like half curly one would be all right. The slot for the coins is again more vent tanks. I've just lined up several of them. You can see this like 5 or 6 pieces there. Just started in the center here and then built out to a size that I felt worked all right. And then the coin itself is just 2 plates, metal plates, back to back. I was trying to give it a little bit of thickness. You can see if you look directly down the center, you can see there's a bit of a gap, but I figured it worked all right. I didn't want to get too fancy with it, just keeping it simple. And then I just tinted it yellow instead of leaving it like it was. So it looks like a little, you know, I could have gone a little bit more by making maybe a $ symbol here. But whatever you put here, you got to make sure it also shows up here. And I didn't want to go through the trouble because a lot of lettering type items, they are troublesome when you shrink them down to a certain size. And again, a lot of them aren't particularly friendly to thin pieces like that. You know, you're going to have stuff sticking out one side or the other. But it kind of reminded me of like it's got some kind of decoration like a coin would, sort of. And I think that's it. There wasn't really too much to him. But I thought it was kind of funny. I just Googled up some piggy bank images, like little icons or whatever, and I just picked one. And it's not really exactly like it, but it's it's close, I guess, to a couple of them that I was looking at. Um, but for those of you that are thinking about maybe participating in this month's CBDC, if you're having trouble, please, feel free to uh, ask for help if you're stumped on ideas. Maybe you know of a resolution you'd like to do and you just kind of maybe not sure about how to represent it. We're happy to, or I'm happy to help you brainstorm. I'll throw out some ideas. Maybe you like them, maybe you don't, but maybe it spurs some of your own. That's kind of what we are here for, not just for the CBC, but in general. We're happy to lend our advice or suggestions or feedback. As a housing community, that's a big thing for us. So if you're stumped or just not sure what you want to do, let us know, and we're happy to help you on that. Because again, it's not a competition, so it's not like you'd be cheating if you're asking for someone to give some advice or throw out some ideas. This is just an exercise for you guys to test and stretch boundaries and figure out new tricks and apply your skills to things that you might normally wouldn't. It's like not a lot of us build little animals and stuff. I've kind of tended to build several of them lately. I've done the polar bear, the bird, um, the reindeer. Now we've got the little pigly. I did the little dog for the dog house. So maybe that's a running thing. Maybe we'll do an animal challenge sometime. But it's strange that I wouldn't normally think about building little critters. Normally I just use the plushies or the NPC animals if I'm going to need something like that. But it's been fun to come up with little ideas like this. So having a little piggy bank forced me to build a little pig, and I could just remove the little dots in the coin, and now we have a little pig NPC that we can put around the plot, have a little herd of piglies. Not herd. Do they call them a herd? What is a group of pigs called? I don't know if they have a name. I'm sure they do. But you could like have a little mud puddle and have them playing around in it. Have little piglets, little baby ones. Who knows? I thought about doing a cubig. That's I did think about that, but those things are so ugly looking and very specific in how they look. I could have maybe just used like that Ichthian one where they're kind of like on these things, but it's got like a little cover over their face because they're like being fed or something. But it moves, and I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. So I just stuck with the traditional little pigly. A mess, yeah. I'm sure there's a specific name for it, but I don't know. So that is the challenge for this month. It's New Year's resolutions. Again, it doesn't have to specifically be one you've given yourself. If you're not into that kind of thing or don't want to give yourself a resolution, that's perfectly acceptable. You can just grab one that's a general, commonly used one that other people do. Maybe you want to do the improve health or get fit or whatever. There's tons of things you can do for that. Build a gym, just do a weight-lift kind of little thing, build a bicycle, um, uh, a swimming pool, like one that looks like they have the tracks where people do their little routine kind of thing. A health food shop maybe, where they've got tofu and everything else. A smoothie machine for those that drink the veggie smoothies and stuff like that. There's all sorts of things you can do. Again, you can go as elaborate as you want or keep it simple. Like I said, for like the take a trip one, you could go build the actual getaway that they're going to. Like the island getaway or resort or something. Or you can just do an open box of luggage with packed clothes and little maps stuck in and their sunglasses or something, and who knows what. Um, so again, simple, elaborate, whatever's comfortable for you, as long as you know, do something for it. You know, we want to keep it engaging for those that participate in these, but we don't want to make it too specific. So I'm hoping this will be open enough where, did you look it up? It's called a drift, drove, or litter. A sounder of swine, a team or passel of hogs, or a singular of boars. Wow, they got a lot of names. But thank you for the information, Poi. So if you want to have a sounder of swine, you can, you know, take this idea and just remove uh, the coin and the slot, and then you have a little piglet or pig um, to play around with. Have a little pet pig. Give him a little spiked collar or something, or a little tutu, and he's good to go. Dancing pigs. Okay, so I think that about covers it for the CBDC. I don't know if I'm going to be doing as many. I think it'll just be if something hits me that I think I might can put together relatively easy. I'm going to try and keep mine on the simple side. I don't have any plans for any kind of big plot builds. I've kind of just stopped doing those. They're very time consuming. While it's fun on some level to do a huge project like that, I find with the streams, as short as I keep them, it's easier to do these bite-sized projects, so that we can actually often, not always, but often have a build start at the beginning of the stream and have it come to its, you know, conclusion by the end of the stream. Because I think it's interesting, or I hope it's interesting for some builders to be able to see the entire process, especially newer builders, you know, ones that are just coming into the game, aren't quite sure what is going on. They can see the steps that it takes or how long it might take, that kind of thing. So yeah, because that's a lot of names. Maybe it depends on where you live. Maybe it's just regional kind of thing. So anyway, I will show you what I worked on over the weekend. I did this, I think I started it Friday, and I've been working on it off and on throughout the weekend, trying to distract myself from uh, the pains I was having. The only thing I can say is my choice of building material is awful, because you can't really see it from a distance. They just don't show up. But I have built a new little mini house, and this is what I come up with. So it's a very, very tiny little house. I mean, it's got your basics, your windows, your roof. It's even got a little porch. But when you go inside, you'll see just how kind of tight it is. The idea is like I would put in a bed that's actually like a futon. It'd be a couch, but it would be one that looks like you could just unfold it and make the bed. So this would be the living room slash bedroom. And then I was thinking to put a small kitchenette here, and you know, there's no bathroom. There's no space for a bathroom, so I guess it'd be like a separate structure. Um, but I was just playing around with books, and I thought I'm going to try and build a book house. So everything in here is mostly books. It's just uh, the small brown book. I think I like it most because the spine is kind of uniform. It's not lopsided, as opposed to like the blue book how it's got a mark on its spine, but it's on one side. Same way with the yellow one, it's got that mark on there. So it's more uniform. If the spines were like maybe the black mark was on the top and the bottom, I would probably use it for something like this as well. But it's unfortunate that at the size they're at, which is 1.5, it's a pretty big size for the book. Obviously, I mean, the book is almost as tall as her, but from a distance, it just completely vanishes. The only way I can get it to show up from here is if I enlarge it. I think I figured it out. It was like past 5. It has to be like a huge book. And that kind of defeats the purpose of making a small little house. So, yeah, I just kind of played around with. So mostly it's books. There's a couple of hover part pieces. It was my way of trying to cover up the opening that is left from the roof. And then some curved walls for all of this roof. And then Cassian pillars for part of the porch. A little bit of the trim on the outside as well. And then, of course, lots of glass for the doors and the windows. I tried to keep them kind of similar. You can see I've got the little triangle points on these two, and then I shortened it here because I was planning again to put the kitchen area here. And then I've replicated this pattern for the smaller window as well, just to kind of try and keep it matchy-matchy. Not too much, but still playing with the pyramids, huh? I don't know. That's kind of stuff I've tried. I actually made a pyramid of glass one time, and I grew very frustrated with that super quick because I had thought about redoing the mall, and I was gonna like make a clear triangle one, and it's like it didn't work out right. Tyrell building from Blade Runner. I'll have to look that up. I have no idea what that is. So, again, I don't know what I'm going to do with this, if I'm actually going to furnish it or not. I think I have a few pieces. Let me see. I think there was, I started on a couch. Where is it? Yeah, I had this. And I had the futon. If I remember right, I moved the house after I built it the first time, so I'm probably going to have to adjust this a little bit. Doesn't want to place, does it? Let me do that again. That's just kind of wigged out, isn't it? Let me port out and see if that fixes it. Nope, I completely crashed the whole thing. Hold on. That's what I get for playing around with books, I guess. It said, no way. So is that what you're trying to do? Do a Blade Runner style plot? Or just the pyramid? Like I said, I don't know if I really want to get into a full plot build. I don't know. I get too distracted by other things, and I mean, like it's like Melon's plot, my little Tua. I started it with the steampunk stuff, and I still haven't finished it. I just haven't gotten back to it. Can't spell with a flip. So it's going to be kind of like, I don't know, what is Blade Runner? Is it like spacey? Not spacey. Futuristic, I guess. Yeah, I think that whole thing just went boink. There we go. Okay, let me. Okay, we're back. It's dark and rainy in that, isn't it? You can see there's a little bit of a gap here between the base and the back, but I don't know. I don't mind that too much. But it's supposed to be like it's a futon where it can be unfolded, so I've got several layers, and then it just unfolds. That's the idea anyway. But again, I've used books for it. Same way with the television for the living room space. It's another book. Maybe that's going to be the running theme for this little place, is just lots of books for everything. I don't know. But yeah, you can see it's a pretty tight space. There's not a whole lot you can do in here. But, well, at least for me, I couldn't envision it. It was like I had actually originally had the ceiling raised or not even existent uh, to allow the space where the peak of the roof is. Um, but I couldn't get it worked in to have stairs for a second floor because I thought about making like an upstairs part for the bedroom, but I think I built it too small for that, so it didn't work out. Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of people wouldn't like it because it doesn't show up very from a far distance. Kind of ruins the effect. I don't know. Would you guys want this as another modular challenge? Decorate the little wood house or book house? It wouldn't be something that I would be giving different options for as far as materials. I mean, you would be welcome to color it differently if you wanted, I guess. Who would want to spend that much on recoloring it? I don't know, but um, I don't want to go through the headache of trying to replace all of these books with different colored books because um, not all the books are the same thickness, the same, proportionally they're different, and it just would change up the shape of it, I think, if I tried to change it out. It's not like the floors. The floors are all basically the same size, but yeah, it might be something. I'm probably going to leave this for myself and see if I can come up with uh, a different. I might try. I like the roof. The roof worked out really nice, I think. But I may see if I can come up with one because this one is. I think it's just the house itself, without any of the like futon and TV stuff. It's 260 pieces. So that's a pretty big chunk for someone that might want to use it. Maybe eventually want to use multiples of it and then have to decorate multiples. That's not very uh, efficient or practical. So I may experiment with seeing if I can come up with a different material. Because the biggest problem with building houses, custom houses, is always trying to include the spaces for the windows, for the doors, um, and having your materials that go around them be the same. That's the only reason I liked the books. I was able to leave all of the little individual sections. They're the same size. I get them to line up the same. The spacing's the same everywhere. Um, oh, you mean like section it off where it's like closer to the entrance or something? Or like surround it with some bushes or whatever? Is that what you mean? I guess that could work. Like a little cottage in a something. I don't know what you call them. Like a little grove opening something. I don't know. But I still think the amount of items is a little on the steep side. I mean, 260, especially if it's like, well, I know some of you use your bunkers as your tester spots, so some of you might be able to get away with it. I think Aurora would have hers in there, and probably Maddie as well. Um, I don't know. I'll think about it. But I like the color of it, and like I said, specifically the sizing of the pieces. I was able to keep them all uniform, and this could be something easily you could just expand on by giving it an extra bit of roofing. Just double it. It could be easily doubled. I could have left it where it's just the one section instead of the double on this. It could have just been the one really super tiny house, like a little one room. You got enough for like a bed and oh, is the pyramid up? Let me see. Oh my. Is that like built over your Osun house? Is that what that is? That's just nuts. It's cool looking for sure. But I don't know, if enough of you feel like you're interested in doing another kind of modular house decoration thing, I think a lot of people liked it. I just don't know if they'll like this particular one. I also had in mind with this one my version of like what I would imagine a little Mordash home would be like. Kind of, I don't know, little gothic-y Victorians. I don't know if it really matches that particular, but that's what I had in mind when I started it. My door? Are you talking about my door or your door? Oh, your door. Huh. Yeah. Well, it was like this one. When I put in the uh, the porch, I actually wanted it to the end of this one to be more toward the center. Um, but it messed up some of the logistics here. They didn't line up quite right because this used to be more in line with this center line here. But I've had to put it, see, it's not even in the center of this mark, which kind of bugs me. But if I push it over, then it looked weird. And I preferred this to be meeting up with these lines. That's one of the reasons why I had to add these, because I originally had this part here actually pushed in just where it was barely overlapping, but then the edge of this roof section showed up, so I had to change it and pull it out. So you can see there's a little bit of non-blending there, and I had to repeat it over here. So yeah, it's just unfortunate when things don't line up exactly as you're hoping. But yeah, I feel you. You talking about this house, boy? Boy's anxious. I want the house. I'll see. Maybe we'll do that for next month. Uh, maybe we'll call it the, you know, romantic cottage or something. I don't know. Allow people to not only decorate the house, but things that go around the house. They can add, you know, gazebos or swinging thing or something. I don't know. I'll put it on the possible thing. Bones. Are you gonna try and make it like an actual finished point, or I thought maybe the Osun house was like the tip top. It's kind of sticking out past. Maybe I should look at the one that you're saying. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, boy. It might work for that. Or maybe I should just leave it more open and rather than forcing you guys to decorate mine, just to have you guys come up with one. Would that be better? Or do you prefer to actually have one pre-built and you have to be kind of forced into working with it? Because I could like change it so that the windows are just straight windows and then you design it. Maybe someone makes a little heart for the windows instead of the diamonds that I'm using. But I just wish there was more materials like the books that I could actually use. You know, I know there's those new uh, store bits, the street curb sampler. I'd actually thought about buying a bunch of these, but I don't want to force people to buy these kind of things just to build a house. That's one of the reasons why I'm using the cheap books, because it's not too expensive. They're only like, I don't know, what, 10 silver or something. Let me see. Brown. Yeah, they're like 10 silver. And I know I'm using a lot of them, but Ricky Deckards. Okay, I'm going to note that down. And who's it supposed to be representative of? Tyrell Building. I'm going to have to look it up because I know I've seen the movie like ages ago, but it was a weird show. I don't really remember it too much. I know they're supposed to be doing some kind of a remake thing or continuation thing, but I'd have to look to get an idea of what you're supposed to, you know, what it's representative of. Anyway, I will definitely give it some thought, Poi, as far as presenting a new little prefab that you guys can play around with. Uh, Again, do you feel like the 260 is too much, or you want me to try and come up with something a little bit more economical? See, I thought, well, it'd be great if I could just enlarge one of the books to build up this whole section, but the bigger you make the book, the thicker it is, and it just doesn't match everything else. I guess I could try just using general basic walls. It's just the problem with those is they have that extra little trim, and it divvies up some of the bits a little funny. Like if we just went with, say, what's a good, like, if we did a granite wall, you'd have this little bar. I can't remember what it was last time. Yeah, that, let's see, what are you talking about? What is it? This one here? Yeah, 75 silver, and then there's the, what's it called? Yeah, it's the same exact thing. It's kind of like the medical table all over again, having the double, and I don't know why they've got those done like that, but yeah, people need to be very careful. It's 4 gold and 75 silver is a big difference. All right, well, I'll just leave it, I guess. I may still come up with some different. Maybe I'll make that a thing that I will work on various versions, and we might have like intermittent modular housing, decoration. But the Valentine cottage, I think that might be. I'm going to write that down. A nice way to kind of put it together. I honestly can't remember. I'd have to look it up. I know I have the houses on one of the plots somewhere, but I just don't visit it too much. But like I'm saying, if I had used like just regular walls, not only do you have the problem of not being able to use one piece for the wall because you actually want your windows to be usable, but when you size it differently, you have thickness differences too. So the smaller pieces will be much narrower. So either you're going to have some weird spacing or depth differences on the inside or the outside. You had to determine that because that was part of the problem I had with Dill's plot. Um, let's see, in fact, I'll show you what I'm talking about. I had trouble with pieces lining up that I wanted to line up. I'm sure you guys have experienced the same issues with your buildings and stuff, but when it comes to like leaving gaps for the doors and stuff, not only do you have to contend with the edges, those gosh awful extra framing on there, but like the bigger pieces, um, they don't line up as smoothly in thickness. So you can see how there's a little extra overlap because these are smaller pieces, so they're not as thick as these. So either I have to pull them out or push them in or whatever. As well, the shading is funny. So you have like these darker bits as opposed to the light. It's just, I don't know, frustrating. It probably cost me just as more if I had used just 2x4s, like I did with the last modular house. That was one of the reasons why it was so pricey. I mean, numerous because of the planks that I had to use to get it to fit just right and to have room for the windows and stuff. So being able to use the books was nice, other than it just doesn't show up at a distance very well, which I was disappointed to see, but it's one of those things. We just don't have any good, you know, box type or like rectangle shapes that are just plain straight edged. Probably the closest is maybe the travel posters. Um, And even then, you know, you have to kind of plan ahead. The way I did it was I kind of built one of the windows first to decide um, how much space from the top and the bottom that I wanted. I figured it would, one book equivalent would be good, but I had to pick a size of book for it. So you know, like if you're going to use a travel poster, you have the issue where maybe you don't have it turned the same way. See, all of the books on this building are actually turned the same way. So the design on it is the same. There's the small part where the spine would be, and then the bigger part. So it matches everywhere. But like with a travel poster, you'd have to, let's just grab one of these. If I was going to use it on here, in place of the books, you would probably be able to get away with using one for like 2 books the long way, like so, you know, just generally speaking. But then if you do that here to match this, then you're going to have a smaller gap here. So you might, and it's going to be narrower, so you'd be tempted to do it this way instead. And that changes the lines because even though the back of the poster is relatively smooth, there is that little divider line right here that shows up. And just the coloring might be a little different. So it's, and then of course you have the issue of having to double it every time because you don't want the poster to show up on the other side, exactly as Boy is saying. You have to double it. Now, saying that, I did have to do some tricks with the books because the books, of course, have that open edge. Um, so you'll notice I actually had to double in some of the books, not all of them, some, to hide that book, the paper. It's mostly just around where the windows are, and I think, yeah, this little line bit here, right here. So anywhere there's an opening, I had to make sure I did all the sides, so there's little extras in there to cover up the openings. I probably could have left it, but the problem is the bottoms of the openings already have that covering because I'm just using a single book for that to match. So it looked kind of funny to have that solid and the rest of them with the white paper showing. So I just inserted them in a little bit. Now, I would say that in order to do that, I had to make it slightly smaller than the one it was going into. So these are 1.5, but the insides, the inserts, are actually 1.46. That's so that it didn't overlap and change the look. See, if I left it the regular size, this would pop up and it would change the look of this. So I made it so that it was just small enough to slip in, still be seen and cover up the white of the papers, um, and but not be visible to change the look from the outside to the end. But yeah, it would definitely be more expensive, or you know, decor-wise costly for using posters. They're great for cabinets and stuff because usually you're only seeing one side of it, but when it's something like this where you're seeing both the inside and outside, it's a little tougher. Um, so yeah, it's just a matter of what you feel is usable. But I will definitely mark this up for next month's idea. As far as I already knew I wanted to do something Valentine related, so I think this ties in pretty good. So Poi gets her wish. We'll do the Valentine cottage thing. I'll just have to see about setting up a write-up for it. But I may decide to remove the extra glass and just leave the singular pane. That way you guys can modify them however you like. Like I said, maybe someone will figure out how to do a heart shape of some sort for their little Valentine cottage or something like that. I don't know. You know, maybe they don't get too elaborate and make it into a kitchen and thing. Maybe it's just a little mean spot. I don't know. And of course, we could probably leave it open that you could add extra structures. You know, make the little ring of trees not too big, but you know, big enough where if you want to add a little love swing or, like I said, a matching kind of gazebo, or maybe, you know, even allow you guys to expand the house, knock out a wall if you want, just as long as you keep it, you know, similar, the addition similar. I'm not sure. We'll see. I purposely might just say, no, you can't alter this at all. It's precious. You can't touch it except to decorate it. I don't know. We'll see. But for now, though, concentrate on the resolutions. See if you can come up with something. I'm sitting here as I'm jibber jabbering. I'm trying to think of something that maybe we can try. Uh, uh, I know my husband said maybe try and make a giant cigarette broken half for someone that's trying to quit smoking. I don't even know where to begin on a cigarette. Uh, I don't know what, like some uh, like cornerstones or something. Maybe that's too many pieces. Like I thought about using maybe the red rocket, but I don't think that would break nice enough. Yeah, Bones made a little cigarette stand, I think, using, I think it was, I don't remember. Dang it, did I just close that? I think there's like too many pieces for this, but let me see. Let me get this straight first. See, I was thinking, rocket. This thing's like so crooked. It's tough to get that red part to hide. Rrr. See, it's not like I can't get the thingy to square up. Maybe if I turn it. Ah, looks like a deformed cigarette. That's what we got. There you go. You got this weird, funny looking cigarette thing, and I don't know what to use for the top. Yeah, they were really great. But to make it look broken, I don't know if I can do that. Like, see, dynamite maybe. See, even that looks wrong. I don't know how you do it. Yeah, that was on Lauren's plot, wasn't it, Bones? So like, you could take that and like make you a little no smoking sign or something. I'm gonna visit just to show so people know what we're talking about. But yeah, there's the sign. So you have the little rolls out of the cigarette boxes. I don't know what you could use. I thought the corners, but it'd be like a huge circle and then have to shrink it down, and those probably won't show up. Maybe I just use the cubes. Let me see if that works better. This is how I end up getting a lot of junk in my crate because I just randomly buy junk and then I don't use it. Oh gosh. A block. And screenshot. It's not showing up for me. See that it's not going to look round enough. Just a real quick. You got all your stuff showing. But see, that looks pretty cool. And it's very simple. Um, but that's what's nice is if you can find a simplistic way of representing something, people recognize what it is, then you've done your job. That's awesome. Let's see. Let's link these up. Don't be like me and overcomplicate it by getting really weird. Okay, did I link them all? Yeah. So see, I'm like trying to build a giant cigarette. Right name here. Just looks like a weird column thing. sink to the bottom one, I guess. And like, I don't think I can use the dynamite for it, but I'm gonna try. Oops. Let's see if it's still too funky. I don't know how to make the end of the thing. I mean, what's this supposed to look like? Maybe a vent. Vent. Looks like a lipstick to me. Oh gosh. Well, maybe it'd help if I like Google up a picture of a cigarette. Move this down, I guess. And maybe maybe it needs to be black instead of red. Would that be better? That don't work. I mean, the idea is right, but the size is wrong. Vent, not vent. Vent, not vent. So like if you color change this to a gray, like the black on white, it might work for the ashy end. Ah, Something like that. Doesn't seem long enough, does it? Maybe I'll add one more. Okay, and then link this all up first. Now you could either you could just make it into a sign, put it on like a board, and then have like a little bit of smoke coming up, and then like a red circle slash going through it, and make your no smoking sign. You could do it that way. Just for quick sake, it's going to have the bubbling cauldron sound, but just for some smoke. I guess I could have used the toxic tanks as well, the toxic barrels. Probably cheaper too. On fire. There you go. So now you have a smoking cigarette, and then again you could do just the little sign, or as my husband suggested, have like the cigarette broke in half, which I almost feel like I need to add another ring of white, but we're gonna do it. Let's see. Try to figure out where's the connection there. Don't know if this is gonna work right, but we're gonna try it. Still connected, isn't it? Do it this way. And then I don't think I can select. Yeah, I got it. Like a broken cigarette or something like that. I think that was his idea. Like I said, you could just leave it whole if you want. You can even get fancy and like put the brand of the cigarette on the side. I don't know if some of them have like little writing on it or something. Or get elaborate and have like the actual uh, box. Oops. Try that again. Put this back together. I like it whole. Yeah, I changed it yesterday. I actually changed it before I was planning to stream until we decided that I was going to go ahead and go into the doctor's office. So I was actually on the ball this time, this month. In fact, that reminds me, I need to, I'll be updating another one. I'm either going to get rid of the NA Tours one, or I'm going to update it to mention that we're doing NA Tours each week. But tomorrow, keep in mind, we're doing the house tours, but we're going to be on NA side tomorrow. I've already got a handful in line. So if I delete that particular command, I'll let you know, boy. So you don't sit there and try and use it and it's not there. So if you want to do the sign, let's just finish up the sign real quick, I guess. So I would probably use the poster. It's just simple and cheap. Now, if you got fancy, you could go with like some of the neon signs. We've got one that's already a circle. That would be a good start for that, and then just find a way to make the little cross part. And again, since you're working with a three-dimensional cigarette, having that cross part might be troublesome. You could just put the letters "No Smoking." That would work. Maybe a big red X or something. It's probably easier, I think, in this particular instance, since it's three-dimensional, just to use the words "No Smoking." Uh, just use like the ice rock stuff again. Actually, probably the easiest is the thing to do with the doghouse sign that I did. Use the blocks. And then just turn it until the line is showing, and just get it the size you feel like would work. So like, let's bring it down to like 70. And I found this much easier to do than to try and do the shapes that it comes in. And then just kind of play around with how you want the letters to be. And what I did was, once I figured out one letter, then I would copy it for anything else. That way it kind of matched. Like here, for instance, if I want the spacing of the O to be relatively the same as the N, then I would make a copy of that. Well, actually, what I would probably do is do the O first, because you probably want to make it simpler on yourself by using the same size of lettering here. So like that, and then use that as your base, so that obviously I need to widen up the N. So I would copy this over here. Let's just leave it the same. Like that, and then drag this over. Now, if this doesn't match up like you want, you could just either leave it and then kind of purposefully make it like so, or bump it right up to the edge like you want, and then just replicate it so that it meets up like that. And then join in all the pieces. And then link. Usually when I'm doing a sign like this, I link the letters to themselves to get the letter individually in case I want to copy that particular letter elsewhere. And then I join the letters to make the word. That way you can move the whole thing. And then just do the same thing down here for smoking or no cigs or whatever you want to say. So I'm probably not getting the angles just the same on the M. I'm just kind of, again, eyeballing it. The S's and stuff are a little bit trickier. Oops. Unlink that for a minute. You could just leave it kind of like the N if you want. Again, it just depends on how you're doing the shapes. Almost looks like a backwards Z. And just remember to link it all back up so that you can move it as a single letter. See what else do we need? A K. The K, the K, the K. And I probably need a bigger sign, or I'll shrink these down. Okay, then we need another N, so I'll just copy this one. Actually, we'll just leave that in. That'll be a good start for the G. Temporarily going to just move this over so I can finish the G. Now this one's a little tougher because that little hooky part, you definitely want it smaller. Sometimes you can get away with just doing something like this. Like that, if you want. Really depends on what you're going for. If you just for sure want it smaller, just size it different. That's no problem. Just try and get it about the same thickness. It's one of the fun things about being able to resize that. You could do that with the other letters too if you want. And then again, I'm not really paying attention to if I've got these exactly lined right, but just remember to, oops, forgot to place it. Just remember to link it all up once you're done. Okay, that, oh, there we go. So now might want to size this down a little bit. There you go. Now you have your no smoking sign. For someone that's, maybe trying to stop smoking or whatever. Trying to get someone else to stop smoking. So I think that's where we're going to call it for today, guys. I hope it gives you some ideas about things you can do. Again, I'm trying to stress that you don't have to specifically make it for something personal. It doesn't have to be an actual resolution that you give yourself. It could just be a general one. Um, uh, my suggestion would be Google some resolutions just for some random ideas. If one hits you as something you think you could build something to represent it, then I would say go for it. Again, just one is fine, but if you have multiple ideas, we welcome that as well. I will show them all as long as you give me the information for it. And of course, the showcase for this will be at the end of the month. I think it's slated for the 31st of January. So you got plenty of time to work on it. Even those of you that only get to hop on through the weekends and stuff, if you can just spend a few minutes putting something together for it, that would be awesome. A reminder, we are having the house tours tomorrow. It's NA side. We're going to be visiting some of the plots that were submitted for Black Dagger Society's housing competition. I'm not going to be getting to all of them in this, in the near future. I've just selected a few of them from this particular competition. Maybe eventually we'll visit some of the others later on, but we're just doing this last little bit of specifically winter type plots for this week, and then next week I'm just going to start doing some random stuff. Of course, we're going to be switching between regions. That's the new thing for this year. So we're going to start off with NA side, and then next week we're going to go to Jabot EU side, and then alternate from there on each time. So hopefully folks will appreciate that move. I had thought about just doing two showcase or tour days a week, but I think just simply because of things that have been going on and my general schedule, it's just easier to stick with one. And it seemed unfair to continue to ignore the NA side as much as it's they just have a bigger population, so there's tons and tons of houses over there that we can take a look at. And while I strive to encourage EU builders, as always, it's also helpful to see what's being built on the other side of the pond. It may give us additional ideas and everything like that. So I'm looking forward to checking it out. I'm, of course, always open to suggestions if you come across the house on either region that you haven't seen me tour yet and you feel it deserves some screen time. Feel free to suggest it. I will jot it down. I've already started a tour list for NA as I have for EU. And I'm sure it will grow to enormous amounts very quickly. I'm not going to be visiting randomly there as often as I do on EU because naturally I'm an EU player, so I'm going to spend the majority of my time there. But a few days prior to the week that we plan to do some NA tours, I will go around and see if I can pick up some new ones just on the random visiting and keep myself full of house listings that we'd like to hit. And I'm sure we will have plenty to keep us busy. So yeah, also a little note for those of you that don't follow Twitter, if you haven't noticed or have even seen some chatter in the forums, there is supposed to be a major announcement tomorrow in relation to WildStar. They're going to be letting us know what the next big update is going to be about. I presume that means we can expect the PTR to be updated soon with some of these new goodies so that we can start testing it. Don't have any idea what it is. Basically, they've been dropping several little short, I mean like super short, like 8 seconds long kind of little teasers that show Drusera and like little snippets of other kind of it looked like space zombies, and I saw some Osun, and I don't know what else. So they're starting to build the hype for it, and they said that we could be expecting some new announcements soon. So I guess this is the first of hopefully many to come. So keep your eyes peeled on that. I don't think there's anything actually coming into the game tomorrow. They're just letting us know this is what's coming. So I would expect we'll have a period of testing on the PTR to be able to get some sneak peeks in on that. So I'll be keeping my ears peeled to see if there's any kind of new housing stuff coming along the way with it. I don't really expect a housing focused update of any kind, but I'm sure there will be some new decorations and stuff that will trickle in along with anything else that they might add. So we'll keep our ears and eyes open for that. Of course, there's going to be some maintenance tomorrow as well, just general maintenance. So that usually gets announced later today. So I'll be sure and keep an eye on when that will hit, presumably the usual time, so it shouldn't interfere with our house tours thing, but if it does, I'll keep you abreast of when we either move it or start early or something like that. So thank you guys for joining me. I hope you had fun. Definitely looking forward to seeing what you guys might come up with for this particular challenge. And of course, we're already hyped for next month. I think Poi has solidified the notion that we'll be tackling something special for the Valentine theme. So in the meantime, good luck with whatever you're working on. That includes Bones's pyramids and whatever else you guys are delving into. Even if it's not housing related, hey, if you've got some leveling and stuff you want to get taken care of before this new stuff starts to pop out, now's the time to do it. I think we just finished up it wasn't this last weekend, but the weekend before we had a double XP weekend, so maybe one of those will be rolling around again soon so that we can take advantage of it. Anyway, thanks guys. Looking forward to a new year filled with lots of housing fun, new builds, new ideas, great inspiration, obviously, and just extra thanks to you guys for making it all worthwhile. It's been a real pleasure over this last year or so. I guess it's a little over a year and a half. And anxious to keep pushing through. So have a good day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.